Hello and a very, very good evening to you. I'm Phil Griggs. This is Cafe Clairvoyance, and this is the Tuesday evening spiritual show. Very interesting evening we've got lined up for you this evening, guys. A subject which is coming more into popularity, which is veganism. And being vegan, what it all means to be vegan, why are people turning this way, and what the benefits of being vegan are. And also, I know a lot of us in the olden days there, when we talked about veganism, we thought about carpet burgers and cardboard and all sorts like that. And it used to be terrifying, didn't it? Terrified to go that way. But now it's changed a great deal, as we're seeing with more and more flavours, foods, different things coming in. So we could talk about that. And then later on, we're going to talk about aliens. Yes. How's that? Aliens. Only on this show. So why terrify yourself and watch Coronation Street or Brookside or any of these when you can watch this? This is more normality. Watching those shows is terrifying. Terrifying. Why shock and trauma yourself when you can come on this show here and just enjoy it? So I'm just going to do the intro, have a little chat with you guys, and then I better get my very special guest on, Yanina Ribini. See you in a minute. Okay, so as you start the show, I think basically from the Sunday show, I just want to say a thank you to everyone who came on and shared the show. We'd like to ask you guys to do exactly the same. We had over 24 shares of the show, which was absolutely phenomenal. So guys, please share it out to any groups you know. And we know some groups out there. We also know some fabulous people we'd just like to give a shout out to as well. We want to say hello to Neil and everybody at the Hilltop Restaurant, which is in Mariah. I don't say it right. It's Mariah. Anyway, it's Mariah. Anyway, that'll do. And also we'd like to say a big shout out to Healing in Javier. These lovely people. Oh, they're so big. Come down. That's better. Healing holistic, physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being in Javier. They're a lovely group, lovely people, and they just like to put out there all the wonderful vibes to do with spiritual healing and things like this, and all the different workshops and courses going on. If you look into the Cafe Clairvoyance group, if especially involved a group there, you'll probably see there's online courses. There's also courses in Javier, which is coming up. And so there we go. That's quite big there, isn't it? And also like to give a big shout out to Chick's Crop Shop in Bedfordshire in Luton Dunstable there, and also to Eleni. Eleni here, she has been showing out here. She's been rather showing off, if I could say this. She's rather showing off her different vegetables that she's been growing. And actually here, I need to just throw a bit of competition back because, Eleni, have you got tomatoes as big as this? See the size of that one there? It's massive. See the size of the grapes? I had to put the grapes by the side of it to show how big those tomatoes were and the odd sizes they are. See? Eleni, you got competition. You think you're just hey, look at me, we're gardening, we got allotment. Hey, well, I got given these today. I haven't got an allotment, but I got given these today, so it's fabulous. So just to say, yes, we like to share things out there. Anyway, great there. Also, what I need to say to you this evening, so in a very short while, I'm going to bring on my very special guest this evening. And also, what I'd like to say is tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, if you'd like to join me on the show, I'll be here which is 11 o'clock in Spain, 10 o'clock in the UK, with my fabulous guest, Guillermo, where we do a regular slot on astrology and spirituality, and we love to read it to you guys. So if you'd like a reading tomorrow, guys, we need you guys to write in beforehand if you can, way beforehand, even tonight, that's absolutely fine, with a question, favourite colour, and your date of birth for the astrology show. Because Guillermo, we both have to get your numerology right, and we have to get your astrology or solar chart compiled. If you do it during the show, sometimes it's a bit like this. Anyway, yes, we'd like to say hello to everyone. Denise, good evening to you. Big welcome there. And guys, so lovely. So I think it's about time we got on the show. I'm just going to. Here it is. This is the wonders of modern technology. You know, this is what I could do nowadays. I'm just going to put this up here, and come on, keyboard, hurry up. There it goes. There it goes. Right. I'm just going to put that up here, and you're going to see this and go, wow, this is wonderful. Good, that's all there. I'm just going to put that in there. This is my very special guest who's coming on me this evening. As you can see up there, I'm going to put my name over there and her name there. And you'll see in just a moment it's all going to happen. So just before we do that, I'm going to do a little bit of this. And then we're going to bring on Yanina for a very interesting evening, I'm sure. Okay, without further ado, I think we need a big round of applause for my very special guest this evening. This is Ribini. This is Yanina. She's coming just down the road here, and here she is. Hello.
Hi. Hi, Cafe Clairvoyance.
Lovely to see you. Lovely to see you. It's always a pleasure having you on the show. This is the second time I had you here, and just to give a little bit of insight, guys, the last time you were on, I think within a few days, the show ratings went up from the normal amount up to about 600 people. 600 people in a day, which is absolutely wonderful, fantastic. People wanted to know very much about what you're doing there, about where you are and what you're doing in your life, especially with veganism. Not enough people know about it, so I think it's a big thing to talk about tonight and to get this out there and have a great evening. You look fabulous, by the way. You look absolutely lovely. It's always a pleasure having you here. So,
thank you. You look very well too. Very well tan.
Good. All right, good. Okay, so last time we had you on the show here, we were talking about veganism, and a lot of people were writing in here. And why is it you think that in this year particularly that people are changing more their lifestyle towards being vegan? What's happened, do you think, out there that's changed people's points of view?
Well, I think many things are happening, not just one thing. Well, first of all, the age of the internet is make a lot of information available to people. A lot of medical research is becoming public. Things that are being tested that before weren't. But mostly, and because of the spiritual side of it, I think people are just wanting to reclaim their own power over their own bodies and we have seen that unfortunately we have been very much brainwashed by social media.
Okay. Yes.
Selling us that things are healthy and that we find out they're not. And I think people are starting to see through the fiction that we've been living in. And there's this sense of wanting to take control over that, to say, no, I decide what I eat and I decide what's good for me and what I need to. And also because we're starting to feel this very strong connection to our planet and to other beings. And that is making us want to take better care of them by taking care of ourselves. I think that's as inside, so outside. So it starts. Okay.
I think what's important about
very big.
Yeah, sure. I think what's important about this, is that I think it's an important thing you must say here about the internet, that people can now get onto the internet, find out more information and find out more truth. And I think that and I say truth because I think sometimes what's published out there by people sometimes is very misleading. But to hear it from someone like you who's an author, you're a writer, you're a poet, the list goes on, and you're a cook, and you're an entrepreneur. It still goes on. And
together.
And I think here that you've got so much there about yourself and what's going on there. I think this is I think it's a lovely subject to talk about. And I think
it started as a personal, it's always been a personal journey, even if at the beginning it was more of I joined like a wave that was happening, a trend, everybody was going vegan, do some documentaries that came out, and there was this big first wave of modern kind of veganism, and I just joined in. And the thing is, I wasn't spiritual at all before I became vegan, and when you do something that you think is kind and for other creatures or for the planet or for yourself, but you're doing out of a place of anger and disappointment towards society and towards what's happening, it leaves you in a very, very dark place.
Okay.
It's very common for people to go vegan overnight or in a fast period just because they have been shocked with certain truths that they didn't know. And that overnight kind of change sort of takes away the picture you had your whole life of what was true and what wasn't. And it can make you very angry. That's what vegans have the fame for being, preachy and pushy, and it's because they're just trying to end the suffering without understanding that sometimes pushing creates suffering in itself. So we have to mind the ways we use. So when I started becoming more spiritual, I finally found the right fit for veganism, because I wasn't doing because I wanted to change the world or because I thought things were bad and I could do better. But it was just because it came naturally. It was a better connection to the planet and to myself, and it also helped me not want to change people so much. No one to rush their journey and their just because I think I know better. I really don't. I just, I'm trying to help, but I'm not really helping.
Well, actually, no, I think by what you do, because to be honest here, when it came to veganism, where I met you, I should think probably about 8-9 months ago. Months ago, around about, in fact, yes, about 8-9 months ago. And at the time, I wasn't vegan. I wasn't vegan at all. And I was still quite happy eating all the other stuff, being a normal herbivore, I think we were called.
Yeah.
Herbivore, eating a bit of everything. And but then I realised that something happened. And I went out for a Sunday roast. So I normally have all the trimmings, everything that I would normally do. And then they didn't have it here. They'd sold out. But all they had was a vegetarian dish. And I had that with the roast. And I tell you what, I suddenly felt, oh my goodness, I feel so much better for eating that. And I decided, that's it. I'm just going to cut out meat and just see how I get on. I literally had a process, seeing how I was going to get on, see what I was doing. And I just felt so wonderful on there. And I thought that this is great. This is something I want to continue with and just see where this takes me to. And then we bumped into you guys, which is yourself and your husband.
Your time.
Yes.
Yeah, from a spiritual point of view, there's different vibrations that food have, and always, it's not, there's no, it's dead. It's dead. It's not even vibrating anymore. Fruits and veg continue.
Okay.
But animals, they are made of the same stuff that we are. Just don't resonate with our bodies that well.
No, and I think that's an interesting thing. And yet, when we start to eat more good food, we're then starting a vegan food. We're then actually starting to resonate on a different alkaline acid thing, aren't we?
Yeah. And also, I want to make a distinction too, because there is these two different terms. There's vegan, and then there's plant-based. And while I would like to describe myself as really both, lately I have been more plant-based in the sense that veganism and means activism.
Okay.
Vegans are people that they have an idea, an ideology, and they act on it.
Okay.
So with yourself, with what you eat, it has to do with a movement for social justice.
Okay.
And then whether you eat completely plant-based or mostly plant-based is centered more on the nourishing your body gets rather than, because there's a lot of people that are vegan, but they will still consume high processed foods. And that is not plant-based. That is just, from a social point of view, they're vegan. They don't eat animal products. But from a spiritual side, veganism is not enough. you need to add your consciousness into the diet, and that comes with following a plant-based and trying to pick only the fruits and the vegetables that have the highest vibration. And for that, you go to alkaline, because alkaline food have a lot of water in them. And the more water, the more electricity. That's why we call them electric foods.
Electric foods. Isn't that interesting? Electric foods.
Yeah. Electric food. And electric food just does what the word says, right? It electrifies you. It just makes you come, the energy in you just becomes moves faster, more alive. And that's the distinction between vegan and plant-based. Vegan doesn't always mean healthy. It just means that it's a social movement. They would rather probably eat white bread for the rest of their life before eating meat, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. But a plant-based person will always try to find the most nourishing ingredients possible.
Now, here's the challenge that I think a lot of people find is they're used to pizza. They love their fish and chips. They love their burgers. They love their going down the restaurant and having a steak. They love going to a restaurant. Perhaps they're going to have pork chasseur or something like this. And we're so used to those old tastes. However, just to put my bit in on here, I used to love all that food. But when I came onto more of a vegan diet, and probably adding in more plant-based stuff, I must admit I'm probably a bit between the two.
Yeah.
But I think what the basic thing that really happened to me and I felt was really interesting is you got a choice. You can either eat all those foods and feel quite heavy, tired, not particularly brilliant, or you can choose to come off those foods and feel brilliant.
Yeah. But I think that when it comes to eating, we sometimes it's hard. You say you have used to this taste, and I was too once very slave to this craze I have for certain foods. I believe that what you eat is in the direct relation to your self-love and your self-worth. Because when you start to do a healing path, these choices start becoming more and more obvious. The better I eat, the better I feel, the better I perform, the better everything is all around. But it's not always easy to make that choice, even though it's logical. Why is that? Why you have all this evidence that if you eat, broccoli is better than if you eat a bowl of chips. Even it's still vegan, but it's not healthy. Or let's say a burger or a steak. Why I cannot make that choice if I know that it's in my best interest? And because there's an emotional problem there that is not allowing you to give your body all the nourishing that they deserve, they deserve to perform well. I mean, I'm not saying, just eat lettuce or broccoli for the rest of your life. I like to go out and eat stuff too, but out of all the choices I can have, I always rather pick the most healthy one and maybe have a little treat on the side to satisfy the need. But, the interesting thing about the spiritual path is when you really spiritual advanced, like monks and people that just given themselves to spirituality, is the more they feel themselves without joy, the less they need to worry themselves with food and with this more the most basic primitive human needs, eat and sleep and all that. And we just put that like, yes, I need to nourish myself, I need to eat well, but it's not gonna it's just not gonna go around this if I'm eating well or no. I'm just gonna eat and let it go. And that's something I'm learning. And you understand, as a cook and as a restaurant owner, it's not easy to say, do you know what? I don't know if food has the importance that it used to be. I love cooking. It's therapy for me, cooking. But not impressive meals, really, tasty and all. I just want simple, tasty, fresh, organic food,
I think some of the interesting things there, and I think a point that
the taste changes.
Yeah, sorry, that's something you touched upon there was the emotional side, what that means there. And this is interesting. Jamuna Giovanna Das, right? Hi, Joe. Says, I'm cruelty-free because I don't want to have to take birth in the future as one of the animals I call suffering to in this life. There's karma involved with eating. And I think, wow, I mean, that's quite a statement. That's a brilliant way.
Absolutely.
I think to put that across.
Even you just can look at it from the point of karma, which is more Hindu, or we can come back, for example, shamans in parts like Siberia and America, even though they have to hunt and eat animals, they will say that the souls of the animals never leave your body, and they just circulate, and their anger and their pain just keep circulating within you. So many cultures around the world, even Rastafaris and a lot of cultures around the world for many centuries have been promoting cruelty-free diets. It's new. What's new really is eating this amount of meat. This is modern age. People talk about like we always ate meat. I don't think so. Not like we're doing it now. This is the new, and we having to, oh, this is the way things always have been. No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
They want us to believe.
Okay, so the emotion sides here, and you guys out there, Jamuna, thank you very much for your comment there. You guys here, have any of you tried vegan food? What did you think? Have any of you tried being vegetarian? Was there a time you were herbivore and you went to being vegetarian? What change did that make in your life? Guys, is there anything, do you know of people who are vegetarian and vegan? Is there anything that you would like to point out or feel that you have an opinion, whether it's for or against? This is what it's all about, for or against it. And I think this is part of the show where we'd like to invite you guys to write in yourself and see what your points of view are. I know from my point of view, I wouldn't say I'm biased. I'd say here I feel healthier for eating more vegan based foods than I do anything else. But you're right though. Sometimes you've got to be a bit careful. There's something about broccoli, and then there's chips.
Yeah, no, it's not about that. I think it's not about eating 100% raw fruits for the rest of your life. Of course, no. Some people love it, and that's great. But I think it's more about balance and really knowing what's good for you and what can you allow yourself. Keep track of yourself.
Yeah.
We always talk before about when we talk about alkaline food and all. We keep a ratio of 60% alkaline and 40% vegan, which entitles foods that are not always that healthy. Like, we eat tofu and seitan, and they're processed foods. They are not, natural foods. But, obviously, I don't know. I have also the thought that people that eat sometimes meat, they eat too much of it. That's another issue with it. It's not just about eating meat itself. It's how much to eat. And when you go vegan, it's very easily to reduce the problems you have. And I come back to the emotional problem. We have a client, and he went through a severe heart attack, and he came to us really, really shocked and really afraid.
Yeah.
For himself and for his family, and he started this new life, like no more this, no more that. I will work out, I will this, and I was so excited to see him do that. And it didn't stick for as long as I thought it was going to stick. So I'm like, that's when I reinforced this idea: what emotional blockage you are having, that even in the absolute doors to death, because he almost died, you still cannot make that choice for yourself. There is something that is lowering your self-esteem inside. It's a vicious cycle. Mm-hmm. You are depressed, or you are feeling, so you make you feel even worse, and then you're feeling bad and you eat bad, and then that food makes you feel worse. So it's just an incredible vicious
Yes,
cycle.
I think you're right. Yes, I think you're right. There is that.
You know.
Yes, there is that vicious circle there. You go around.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting what you're saying as well. And just coming back to some viewers who've actually come in here. We've got Sarah writes in and says, I was vegetarian for 2 years and I'm slowly going back to it. Fantastic. Great. And if you're slowly going back to it, there must be a need there. You're actually feeling better for it. Good. And Susanna writes in and says, taking plant-based medicines, taking plant medicines changed my life. That's an interesting concept there, guys. What else do you think there? Would you like to write
watching documentaries?
Yeah, brilliant. Also, she writes in and says, also organic apple cider vinegar has helped her life a lot. And there's a lot in that, isn't there? Apple cider vinegar, saying it's very good for you, especially if it's organic. Yes. Yeah, wonderful. Yes, very alkaline, as you say. Yes. Yes, very good. And Ellie says, sorry?
Go Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. You just froze.
You go.
You just froze. Sorry, I was really beg your pardon. Emily says, I've got older. I prefer eating healthy foods, but I still have mine roast on a Sunday. And maybe another day we might have meat or fish. Okay, so people choose. What was it like, Emily? Have you ever had a vegetarian dish, like you didn't eat meat or fish at all? How did you feel after this? Was there something about that you liked or disliked? Be interesting to see what you say. So, yes.
Yeah, before I was vegan, you mean?
Yeah, no, before Eleni. No, Eleni writing in, she was just saying here that I was asking her before she actually, is there a meal that she's had which is completely vegetarian? How does that make her feel? She still says she has a meat on a Sunday.
Yeah, okay.
But maybe on one day of the week she has fish or meat. What's it like when you don't have meat there?
Well, we have worked really hard on having all the replacements you want, so you have no excuse, So you have your vegan cheese, your vegan burger, your vegan ribs, your vegan fish and chips. There's everything. You like your pizza. Well, obviously if what you crave is a lot of cheese, you're not gonna get that. But I make my kids always this like spelt bread pizza. I make like a bechamel sauce to fool them with the cheese, with just some really light almond milk and sweeten, and a bit of I like to use cornstarch to thicken it and put nutritional yeast for cheese flavor. So I just spread it all over and put tomato, mushrooms. It gets a little getting used to it. I'm not gonna say, but if you try, and like you said, afterwards you feel so great. You feel so great, and that act alone of making that choice is what generates the self-esteem you need to make the choices after. So it's again the same vicious cycle, but in positive now. You eat well, you feel great, you eat better, you feel better, you eat better.
I think you're spot on. I think it's really true. This is interesting because I tasted your fish and chips, vegan style, and I was absolutely. I tell you what, I just thought that was absolutely fantastic.
We made a video of that recipe. It's on Tribus YouTube. We made a video with that class.
Okay, Tribus YouTube. I was going to add this in. In fact, the producer will probably put this in here. She's going to put...
it's in Tribus family YouTube channel, and it's a video we make in the fish and chips. No fish and chips. We used to make it with tofu, but we replace it with aubergine just to be completely plant-based, so it doesn't have, you can fry it, but you can also bake it if you want. And we made a video, and it was one of the most watched videos we ever made. And some friends, they have restaurants, have put it on their menu too after the video we made because they learned how to make it. So it was a really positive. The fish and chips always gets people.
It's fantastic. I must admit, the meals, like when you have your Tribus nights, or when you do a Tribus venue summit, you call it a tribe, don't you? And I tell you what, you feel part of a great culture of people. The food is outstanding. Emily says, yes, I've had a vegetarian meal and it was lovely. I'm Greek Orthodox, and for Easter we fast for 7 days. We must not eat anything that comes from animals. Wow, fantastic.
I think most cultures have this. Even the Catholic culture has their fasting during Easter and all that, from meat especially.
Yeah, she's saying here, so no milk, cheese, yogurt, eggs, etc. Wow, that really is vegetarian, isn't it? And vegetarian going vegan style there. Okay, saw a good one here. This is quite amusing.
It seems like a long list of things you can eat, but I think that we have around us is made with animal products, but it's not most of the food that exists on the planet, because there's 80,000 edible plants on the planet.
That's fantastic. That's amazing, isn't it? Yes.
And yet it seems like the same 4 animals are producing all our food, and it's not about whether there's options, and what they make us believe is the majority of the food on the planet. You start going to more alternative shops, like in Ondara, there's this really nice, a bit pricey, but really nice eco shop. And it's an eco shop, right? It's good food. And they still have meat and they still have dairy, but it's such a small portion of their shop. Everything else seems to be the plant-based, or, and that would be a more real definition of what a spectrum of food is, But our local supermarkets are biased.
Yes, especially in some other countries. But in the UK, they're doing quite well. I'm actually going to look a comment on there in a minute. Sarah says here, I went past the meat aisle with my daughter the other day. And the daughter said, don't even think about it. Don't, which I think is fantastic. That's lovely. That's lovely. Your daughter's educated you there, Sarah. Really
Never say never.
Never say never. Never say
never.
never. And this is, if you go on to Treba's Family YouTube, you'll get all the recipes there. I think it's a fabulous, when you go on there, they do a fabulous show together. It's quite entertaining, actually. And to just watch you two and your family cook. And Neil's a whiz. A whiz when he's cooking there. And see where you do the talking and what's going on. It's brilliant. And yes, there's Treba's Family YouTube for recipes on being vegan. And I'm sure that will be very informative there. And right, okay, Yanina, let's have a little look here. So who else have got here? So we've also got other... Jamuna comes on again and says, all the main pizza stores in the UK have vegan pizza and side dishes and desserts these days. Gluten-free base as well. And I think, yes, they are good there. I agree with you. And sometimes
it's vegan food, not plant-based food.
Yes.
It's still very processed food, because most supermarket, when it comes to fresh produce, and if you ask them looking for organic, it's nearly non-existent.
Yes.
So yeah, there are a lot of options there. It grows just as much as you want it to grow, really, this thing. It gets to a point when it's hard to eat out. It's hard to find a place that really, you want to spend your money in. But it has its good things too.
It certainly does. And I think when you get collective people together who share the same idea about veganism, there's a wonderful hype. And I think you're right about electricity.
Yeah, and I haven't met one vegan yet that regrets being a vegan. No. And on the other hand, I hear a lot of meat eaters like, oh, I wish I could have give up that. I wish I could feel better. But on the other spectrum, I have never seen anybody. And I'm not talking about people that eat really healthy. People that are just vegan. But it's the best choice they made towards, maybe not the whole journey, but towards a better lifestyle.
Yeah, I think fantastic. Right, okay. Deborah, the producer, says, Yanina writes, very interesting blog, reposted the Cafe Clairvoyance blog, reposted in the Cafe Clairvoyance group. And it's I Am Words, and she also says poetry. She says all sorts there. So, Sheena, lovely having you on this evening. Fantastic. Okay, let's have a look at other posts here. Okay, I'll just look here. Right, okay. Emily writes in, but we have black-eyed beans with spinach, olive oil, lemon and salt to taste. Fantastic. I won't put the other one up. She's talking to me here how she had a barbecue as well. But this is the this is the main bit. It's the main bit, which is fabulous there. Yes, good. Good. Okay, right. And let's go and have a look at a couple more comments here. Right. Jamuna says, I once was served a meat lasagna when I ordered the vegetarian one. It took a while before I realised that the chewy bits were meat. That was at an Italian restaurant in Greenwich. Okay, yes. It's probably when you realise you've eaten it there, Joe, I'd imagine you felt like, yes, it's not feeling so good.
It's a weird feeling, you don't want to overreact.
No.
Because it's sometimes it's another mistake. Sometimes people don't know. You just let it go. But then, is you can feel it inside.
Yeah.
You can let it go until it's gone.
If you want to go and have a research about what Joe does, go back onto the previous Tuesday show. Jamina Giovanna Das was on it, and or Joe for short. And it was a hysterical show. Very, very entertaining. Very, very engaging. And to a lot of people found out a lot about this. Anyway, we're getting some requests here saying, Yanina, tell us about aliens. Tell us about aliens. What's going on with aliens? Just before we start talking.
Last time I was here, we talked about regressive hypnosis.
Yes.
Now we're gonna, this thing is escalating now.
Okay, just before we come on to this, guys, this is just what you're gonna drop in for tomorrow. Okay, right. Aliens. Let's talk about aliens. So, first of all, how would you describe an alien?
Well, first of all, I want to start by saying the word alien is used. And when you say that word, people just, like I once will look at you like you're a crazy person, My partner knew for, 13 years solid talking about it and making me watch every documentary and everything. So he's the one that should be talking here, but he's working today. So,
okay.
We have been, watching a lot of things and doing some research in the last, ever since lockdown, really, we have so much time in our hands, and there's the thing, when we get into a new thing, we just like to learn a lot about it at once. And these things started coming up about close encounters of the fifth type. So you have 4 types of encounters, and, it would be one when you just see them, then when they come, then when you go, then the 4th kind, which is supposed to be dangerous, like, attack. And then there's the 5th kind, which is this new doctor started talking about. And the 5th kind is when you actually reach out to them.
Okay.
And you are the one sending the message. And that's why I take issue with the word alien, because like Hollywood has done a lot on that word, and it has, and a lot of people have the idea, like I did until not long ago. I had the idea that was the image of sort of aliens I could have, or pre-spirituality, pre-thinking that it's just this, and that out there is out there, and the in here is in here, and that's it. But the 5th kind encounters, basically what they're proposing is that if you meditate and you really with a group of people and you do this consciously, and you can create enough what I would like to call alpha waves in your brain, because that's what they are when you enter deep states of meditation.
That's right.
Your brain goes into alpha waves, which are very difficult to attain normally. You have to go into a very deep state. And alpha waves, they move really fast and they move really far, and they go through your brain really quickly. That's the highest kind of vibration, wave. And it always puzzled me, like, why, does this have a use, and can we use this for something? Is it this telepathy or this and that? And, the documentaries Unacknowledged and Close Encounters of the 5th Kind are all these people that basically just get together, do these massive meditations, and then, they contact them. But it's, of course, something that if you haven't tried yourself, you're not going to experience, because that's why I say about calling them aliens. Maybe the word we're looking for is rather entities or beings, because we don't know. Alien means from outside. Aliens means alienation. No, it means from separation.
Yes.
And maybe,
yes. We can be called an alien by being in a foreign country without
exactly.
a passport.
It's something separated, something even negative. Maybe it has a negative tone to it too. So if you call it entities or call them beings. And it changes a little bit the perception you have. And what they say is basically, this is not a space kind of thing. This is a dimensional thing, and we're moving through dimensions, not actually space. And while through the meditation and through coming to center and through connecting with others, they're doing the same. We manifest them into this reality. We allow them to come. That is a relationship that requires trust and belief. A lot of people say, I want to see and then I believe. These things, like with everything in spirituality, it's the other way around. You then believe, and then you're shown in reward of your faith or your belief.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's my experience with it. I'm not going to say I know all about aliens, but I have been doing this. We have gone up to Cumbre and stay up late at night there and trying to make meditations. And it's a wonderful experience. You start to connect. And here's another thing. I had a discussion with will you let them inside your head, right? Why will you contact another life form? And because like you have positive energy, negative.
Yeah.
But I think the answer is that you're not using your head, you're using your heart. You don't.
That's an interesting
need your
one,
head.
isn't it? That's a very interesting perception I think you're making there. Very interesting.
And by protecting your mind and entering in a real deep meditation, you're protecting your head. Your head is out of reach, and then your heart is sending the right intention.
Yes.
So contacting the right energy, and then you get the result. There's a lot of types of aliens, by the way.
Yes.
If you go, I know this because Neil made me watch this book, this Russian book on aliens. You can look it up online, and it's crazy. They have so many types.
Okay. Here's something interesting here, because at the turn of the century, not this century, the previous one, 19th century going into 20th century, they did a lot of work. They did a lot of work on this, trying to work out and understand the spectrum of light and what we see and what we know. And when we look at the spectrum of light over a big broad spectrum here, we've got a tiny bit in here that we see, which is just outside the infrared. This is so interesting because just talking about this very briefly is that our spectrum of light is not very particularly good. A dog can see in the infrared, and a bug can see in the infrared, and a bug can see a plant from over 1,600 meters away. This is Andy, who was on the show 2 weeks ago, and he is saying here that we can't see it, but a bug can see it. A bug giving off too much nitrogen because it's not well. And a bug will go immediately to that plant and start attacking it. It won't attack good plants. It'll only attack ones that are weaker. And now it's interesting. So we, in our own sight here, it is very logical. We put too much logic in this sight here, which is why spiritual people look beyond what we see with our eyes and look out of our sixth sense, just above the bridge of our nose, or by sense, or by hearing, by being clairaudient or clairvoyant. And then what was interesting is everybody used to say, no, there's no such thing as energy outside the body. And then we discovered in 1911 that the aura existed.
Exactly. The magnetic field existed.
Yes, magnetic field existed. Then we understood a lot more perception about things we could do here, and how we could do remote viewing, how the body during the Second World War, this was proven in many different ways, how they were able to relate to the other side.
If you think about string theory, which is one of the most respected theories of physics right now, it's been around for centuries, and when most physicists will, get behind and say that's what the universe structure looks like, that's how the universe moves. It still proposes that there are 12 dimensions in our reality. So science itself is giving you such a spiritual answer. They deny that there's anything else to it than just the fact that it is what it is. Well, something they say in the documentary is that if light beings or any sort of entities were to exist in a physical way in our universe, if they were 1 billion light years away from us and they had the capacity to travel at the speed of light, they would still be 1 billion years away from us.
Yes.
So we have to have other ways to get here. There's just no traveling. And so, that brings me the question, like, is there that much space out of space? Or again, it's a matter of dimensions and a matter of perception. So the way in is in here.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of thing that, for me to believe in something is hard. I'm not going to say I'm not a big believer, but if somebody gives me an opportunity to try for myself, like I say with veganism, I don't have to believe whether it's good or no. I can just try doing it and see how my body responds to it. This is a little bit the same. We are, proposing a meditation. We are proposing a group activity that you can just go and do tomorrow if you wanted to. You have to be conscious in doing it. You have to follow, certain guidelines on how to. But you can make the contact today if you wanted to. It's just a matter of belief.
I think. Would you think that people need to do this in a group, or is it safe to do this independently? What's the best way here? Would you say?
Well, it depends just how much sort of trained you are in meditation. How aware, how much you have sort of travel in a way, and what experiences have you had with energies, with negative energies, positive energies. And at the end of the day, witches always said what matters is your intention. Magic is magic. There's no white or black. So if you have the right intention, you contact the right energies. If you have the bad intention, you contact the wrong energies.
I think you're dead right. Absolutely spot on. Yes. If
it's about intention. Yeah. If some people way about this is because maybe they are attracting, they're wrong. But it's a matter of just, keep trying and.
Very true. Very, very true. I think that's a big point there.
Talk about aliens.
Now, here's something which I think is.
Talk about,
Yeah. Here's something which I think is interesting about this is because, but by intention, I mean, you can have a car, but your intention is either going to be you're going to be a safe driver or a dangerous driver. By the way you're going to drive it. Exactly the same by what we're doing here. You can either have positive intention and go and drive that out there, or you're going to be the reverse. This is, Cheryl says, this is an interesting evening. Sally says, I believe in a matrix between us all. It is there. Yes. Oh, wow. This is a brilliant one.
It's not incompatible with this theory, you know?
Yes.
It's not totally comparable.
She also says there's so much energy between every living thing. I agree with you. And we also have, Sarah's having a bit of a funny evening. She says, something has taken over my phone. It's probably E.T. saying phone home. No. I know it's taking a mickey, but it's just having a bit of a laugh. Anyway, right. Let's have a look at Jumuna says here. Now, this is interesting. I love Jumuna and his philosophies. And I'd actually say philosophies or theosophies or even actual facts. Facts have been put like this. There are over 400,000 types of human beings spread across the universe according to ancient Vedic texts. Wow. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. There's a lot of information, you know. When I was growing up and I was a young, impressionable young woman, I thought that those were a few loonies that were thinking like that, or a few movies, they watched a few movies and they took it too far. And then I started doing some actual research on it and I realized how many people. And I had that itself has also made me realize that at heart, we all have a belief that we are too afraid to share because people would think it's crazy. Most of us do, you know, some of them are able to let it out, but most of us have something in our heart that we don't want to be judged by. Yep. And that's such a human thing to experience, you know, and imagine the amount of knowledge we will have if we would get rid of this shame. Because why the scientific world is so, they laugh at this stuff when it's such a, should be scientific curiosity just driving you to see what's out there, but somehow we go so stuck into the belief that things like that are too crazy. And part of it, I believe, is the fall of science fiction and movies, you know, that it have this sensitize you to things that could be real and make a mockery, like astrology, like hypnosis. You see people acting like chickens on TV, and then when people talk about hypnosis, you think it's a loony thing when it's actually a really powerful tool to heal people and to help them. And it's very counterproductive. But the alien thing, I know, you know, the other day there's this great woman that I follow online. She's a philosopher, you could say too. She writes a lot of stuff. Yep. And she talking about this, and I was, wow, they're talking about it now, that we have a bigger family than a human family. It's a cosmic family, no matter what. We don't know what it looks like yet. We don't know, but it is there. And
I agree with that.
I have to try to contact. And I feel through my meditations and through what I've done so far, what I have left, what I feel is that it's my own fear that prevents me from knowing more. Yeah. Because every time I have had the perception that something was happening around me, whether it wasn't, maybe it was just a bird flying around, but through the corner of my eye, I'm like, there's something there. I have become in fear immediately of what it could be. So, you know, as long as we have fear of the unknown, it will not manifest for us because it's not trying to scare us. It's just, it's okay. Our position.
This is so interesting. We're really getting into nitty-gritty here because you're talking about people, and sometimes they're too scared to talk about their beliefs. They're too scared to come out there and talk about what they think is, in case people think they're stupid. Just some facts to come up here, and no matter what you say, no matter what people think, and I'm not trying to push something across, you've got to believe in it, but you listen to people like Jim Mars, you people listen like David Icke especially here, he was saying stuff back in the 1990s, which is going on now.
Yeah.
He was saying stuff then, which is appearing now in our lives.
Yeah, I think that is always, there's, with everything, things like this, there's a first and immediate, like, big reaction to it, and people forget for a while because there's been a campaign to get and to make it look ridiculous. And then it finally is accepted as something very worth looking into. Yes. Like everything. Spiritual and other stuff too. Even lots of science, you know, the people used to think you follow the earth, and now everybody knows this. And
that's right. I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Yes.
I don't think I'm crazy. crazy, I'm more crazy. But now that I'm here, I don't think I'm crazy, and I don't think I'm going to stop doing it, because it's not something I'm going to myself is doing that journey towards that. Every time I sit in my patio and I start a meditation, I just feel like I gain more insights into everything, and it's really wonderful. And to meet people that have the same ideas as you, and to see, sometimes I started writing things on my Instagram about this kind of meditation, and to see certain people just come forward and say, oh, I've been looking into this, oh, I downloaded this app, oh, I did this, and it's just, oh, so it's not just me. Are you interested too? You mock it maybe because it's your first reaction in front of something that you don't know, like I've done it so many millions and billions of times.
Yes.
We all curious.
Yes. Interesting enough here, I mentioned about Jim Mars and about David Icke, and the one who knows way more than me anything about this is the producer, Deborah. And she says the late Jim Mars, an amazing investigative journalist and author, and a lot of his stuff there was found to be very, very true. Very true. But they didn't want to admit it. No one's admit it. That's interesting, isn't it? And yes, so this is a very, very interesting discussion this evening. And so what can aliens, when people meditate and they connect with aliens, what are they searching for? Are they searching for something to connect to, ask for help? Is it just to understand? What is it when people connect with aliens? What happens there?
Well, what I've seen in the documentaries I watch and the things I experienced to me is healing, what they offer.
Healing, that's an interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is in a way or another, whether it's emotional, physical, whether it's them triggering your own healing, like I'm not saying they're here, but we have the capacity to self-heal and we don't know how. And but I've seen some stories that have led me to believe that in a way or another, it's just healing, because it's restoring a connection that goes so much deeper than a human experience. It goes farther than that. So you get that connection and you're just more aware of the world and the universe. I don't think they're searching for anything. I just think that they're just, waiting to see who turns on the light and who makes the call.
I think that's an interesting answer there.
I think that also we will never see a manifestation on a global level, because it's my belief, and it's what I've watched. I recommend you watch The Unknown or Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. Those are the two documentaries that talk about this the most.
Yes.
I believe that this is they're just slowly helping us increase our consciousness, and we're all going to start until at one point it's a reality. It's just, because that's what I mean. You're not going to have a massive explosion like NASA shows you the aliens. I just don't think that's the way we're going. I think it's just going to become a reality when we all manifest a reality, and we all can see the benefits of it.
Okay. No, I think it's amazing. This is so interesting. Sally Mardell asks, how do you get the connection for healing?
Well, the intention, first of all.
Okay.
The intention we talked before, and like I said, watch the documentary, especially the second one. There's a man, I don't know, I did a little background check on that too. Obviously, it's the internet. But there's this man who his whole life wore a hearing aid. He had pictures from a child wearing a hearing aid. And this night when they did a group meditation, after a while, after the meditation ended, there were some lights, which either they recorded, the red lights on the sky. And he talked to them. And in the morning, he didn't need his hearing aid anymore.
Wow.
Yeah. And again, do your research, see if it's true or not, But at the end of the day, there was videos, there was this, there was that. And at the end of the day, it's a matter of belief. If you believe you're going to heal, you heal. So I think that if you want to contact them for that purpose, first you have to clean yourself. If you want to sort of attain to go to a new dimension, you first have to master this dimension. And that means looking after yourself, loving yourself, putting a good vibration out there, and then just do it. Just whatever comes to your heart, just speak it. Okay. And ask for it.
Okay, it's interesting. Sally says that she is a BSL interpreter, so this is working with deaf people. And it's actually, as I say there, she also asked, not documentaries, how do you allow healing to appropriate through the matrix? And I think what we can, I think we need another session on healing itself, to how to get through the matrix to find and discover this. I think that would be a very, very interesting session to do. Unfortunately, we're bound down to the last 5 minutes, and this question's come up in the last 5 minutes, which I think is, Sally, I think it's very appropriate, very good question to ask this.
Which I also totally believe. When we talk about the Matrix, sometimes we feel see, I watched the movie The Matrix many times. I love the first one mostly. And what I come to the conclusion myself is that even though it's a very possible, likely scenario, it's a negative interpretation of it. Most religions will look at that and think it's, Buddhist, they think it's a game. They think it's a game that you have to endure in life. So the moment you start seeing all of it as a game, whatever it is, if it's a simulation, if it's contacting alien, if it's doing your dishes, Alan Watts talked about this very, very deeply about make everything a
Yes.
And then that is what's going to change the perception of the Matrix and the perception for everything else, because it's just a game. I know a lot of bad happen, healing on levels that maybe are way more deep than what I'm looking for, and it's hard to see like Buddha said, take it all with laughter, just laugh about it, but to do that you have to have a bigger belief of everything, to believe that you could transcend and do it again and not have to worry if you're going to get hurt or if you're going to die. It's all part of a bigger plan, and just roll with it.
I think here, what Sally's talking about here, she's never seen the film. But it's a very interesting subject to talk about this. And yes, she's coming up with a lot of suggestions.
Sorry.
Yes, she's just saying here, she's just talking about the Matrix. She says, not the film. She's the Matrix that connects all life. And Yes, and but she's saying not the film. She doesn't want to discuss. She's on about the personal matrix that we all experience, that we're connected to something, and how we can get through that for healing. I think is another subject to come into. Healing through the matrix would be a fantastic thing, and that's what I love.
I thought you meant like the Matrix. I usually the source.
Yeah,
like the source.
I think this is another. That's what I love about having you guys out there on the show.
That connection extends outside our planet, because as inside, so outside, and as a planet, we are one entity too. We are one, and we have to relate to the outside of our planet just as much as we relate to the inside of it. Yes. So this oneness, this matrix, this connection, it goes so much farther than just our human experience, and that's what this alien topic comes to. It's just reaching out in case there's somebody hearing us. That's what we should maybe be doing, just reaching out with kindness in our heart and a good intention, and see if we get any responses. I think it's worth doing.
I think it's very interesting about this. It very much relates to the astrology, the energy, and the frequency that we're in now in 2020. Because if we think that we're in a very logical frequency post 2019, and the energy was going across, working through the brain waves going across. But now it's working differently. And I think this is where Sally is really interested in, because now we're going up, the frequency is going up and down. So now it works through the heart. So and this is why I think our heart is more open than the mind to be able to experience something which is out of body, to experience, as some of the listeners, I know some of you listeners here watching tonight actually get out of body experiences.
Oh yeah.
And I know Sarah does, and a few other people there would actually agree they get something there. And I think what's really fascinating by this, and sometimes what Sally's talking about here, and what she'd like to investigate into, is how we work through the heart to get through the matrix, to find that healing there, and how that works. And yes, I think if we've got an open mind, we can heal some of the most craziest things that happened through the universe.
We're going through a shift of energies, as you said, going from the mind to the heart.
Yes.
And it's a shifting that is not only occurring to us personally as people. It's a shifting that the planet as a one entity is going through. I read a really interesting article on the National Geographic about the polar shifting that we are going through right now. And you have the North Pole, which is the northest point of the planet. And then you have two poles, one in Canada and one in Siberia. And they're always fighting over who has control over the North Pole.
That's right.
And
yes.
It's been happening forever. But in the last, since the beginning of 2019, the activity has been nothing like it's been recorded before. They have to send more people over there. So our plan is forces, you know, these two, like our minds is dividing two as well. Our minds is the duality, and now in this the energy, you know, and we don't have to go one side or the other. But the healing is not in using only, it's just knowing what you use for what. Your mind is to create, is to imagine. Your heart is to think and to feel.
Yes, it's very much about thinking on a different level, thinking on a different level. We have come to the end. We've come to the end. But I wanted to say thank you very, very much for coming on. And we have to do something again in not too distant future. And
I'm gonna watch this later and see how crazy.
Yes. And I think here, as 2020 is opening up to a lot of new thoughts and possibilities and opportunities out there, I think this is going to be discussions that we can take further and further. And I think, Sally, I think you've opened up a little doorway there for us to get into about healing through the matrix. I think here that a lot of you guys are talking about out-of-body experiences. We're going to be talking about that. And Yanina, I'm sure we're going to have you back on again, and it'll be lovely, lovely, lovely to see you very soon. But in the meantime, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, Guillermo's on the show. We'll be doing a live astrology show. And next week, my special guest is Chris. Chris Bullock is coming all the way from the USA. He does spirituality and music. I'm sure we'll have an absolutely fantastic show. But guys, thank you so much from myself. From Yanina.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
And from Deborah, the producer, a warm evening to you all, and see you guys tomorrow. Cheerio now. Bye-bye.
Bye.